Hey everybody, welcome back to Muscle Car Campy. In 1968, weird things were starting to happen in Detroit. Dodge started putting race Hemis in darts. By 1969, the gloves had completely come off. Perhaps something was in the water cooler. The Dodge Daytona came out with that giant wing in the back, and not to be outdone, because Pontiac was never outdone, they unleashed the GTO Judge. In 1964, when the GTO came out, it had the mid-size market all to itself. The Chevrolet Chevelle SS came standard with a 6-cylinder engine. The Olds 442 was a nice car, but no real threat performance-wise. Its main competitors in the go-fast department were the big old factory superstocks like the 409 Chevy, 427 Galaxies, etc. But by 1966, things were starting to get heavy in the Motor City. The Chevelle SS 396 had up to 375 horsepower. Then in '68, the real big blow, the Roadrunner came out from Plymouth, which was a completely stripped down model with a 383 making 335 horse. The only engine available other than that was the 426 Street Hemi. These guys were eating into GTO sales, even though the GTO remained the #1 selling muscle car in the country. So back in '68, they started thinking, what can we do to make the GTO more popular? The idea was to come out with a car that was another stripped-down performer like the Roadrunner. They were going to make it the GTO ET for elapsed time. Didn't work real well as a name. Popular at the time was Rowan & Martin's Laugh-In, where they had the skit, "Here comes the Judge." Boom, light bulb went off, so we had the GTO Judge. John DeLorean, of course, heard about it and saw that he didn't want a stripped down GTO. That was not his scene. He wanted the GTO Judge to be the top of the line car, and that's what it was. The first 2000 were Carousel Red, which everybody called orange because it was the same color as Chevrolet Hugger Orange, but it was a wild, wild car. From the very beginning, there was nothing like it on the street. Today's feature car is owned by Kevin Guido of Florida. Kevin, you've got quite a story with this car. You've owned this car forever, haven't you?
31 years.
31 years.
As of March.
As of March. And you showed me some pictures before. It was okay when you got it. It was a GTO Judge after all. But at the same time, it was not the show winner that it is today. I noticed in the one picture it was winking at you. Did that kind of attract you to it? It had one headlight door open, one closed.
Well, that was the first order of business, actually, to get it fixed. But yeah, she was winking at me for sure.
She wanted you, and she's got you, and you have this relationship now. You did a lot of the work yourself, bringing this car back. Why don't you tell us a little about this car?
Well, this car was originally from California. It's a Fremont car, Fremont-built car, which is apparently pretty rare with GTOs in general. And two brothers that were from Clearwater, Wayne and John Blackburn, flew to San Jose, California to look at a Judge and at Bethel's goat farm. They didn't like that car. So Bruce Bethel says, I got another one I want to show you, which was this car, 119848. And they said, we'll take it. And they drove it across country in 1986.
That might fully be responsible for the hole in the ozone layer that we have right now. I mean, that's a lot of gasoline. Yeah. I'm sure this thing didn't get great gas mileage, but it must have been a wonderful, wonderful journey.
Fast forward, I'm driving down Gulf to Bay Boulevard in Clearwater one night, going east with my Monza, my Chevy Monza back in the day, and I see these familiar headlights coming at me on Gulf to Bay. I knew what it was, but I just, as it approached, I went, oh my God, it's a Judge. Holy crap, where's he going? So he pulled into a local Rex roast beef restaurant. I did a U-turn in the median, and I followed him in there, and I parked right next to him. I said, can I please look at your car? He says, yeah, we're going inside to eat. Have at it. So I stared at the car, just foaming at the mouth. Fast forward to Christmas 1990. I went to go look at a 72 GTO at a friend of mine's house in Clearwater that was selling it. It turned out not to be the car that I thought it was going to be, but parked in the front yard was the Judge. I said, whose car is that? He says, that's my buddy's. He's going to be selling it very soon. I said, keep me posted. So March of 1991, I ended up with the car.
And this car now, the condition that it's in, you were telling me it's an AACA winner. And if anybody's familiar with the Antique Auto Club of America, they don't just hand those trophies out like juju beads in a movie theater.
Right.
If to become an AACA winner, this car has to be pretty much the way it was when it left the assembly line.
They judge them pretty strictly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you were showing me under the hood before, the hoses, the belts, the carburetor is all correct for this car. In fact, this is the original carburetor, right?
It is.
Tell me about the carburetor on this car.
It's a 750 CFM Rochester Quadrajet 7029273, which is specific to the Ram Air engines. It's for Ram Air 3 and Ram Air 4. But to find one originally on a Ram Air car is like finding hen's teeth.
Yeah, and you said even the choke assembly is original to this car, and that's a really valuable rare piece as well.
Yep, those are going for like $600 these days at swap meets, if you can find one. If
you can find one. Now, everything I look at on this car is just so correct. You had to do some kind of massive amount of work to get this car the way it was. How long did it take you to get it, and how exactly did the process go?
Well, I started working on it as soon as I bought the car, but what I would do at night was I had acquired a set of illustrated parts manuals from a dealership, and I would scour through those and write part numbers down and write part numbers down, lists and lists and lists of part numbers. And I would run them on the nationwide locator through a friend of mine that worked at a Buick dealership. And back in the day, there was such a thing called Parts Voice. It was a 1-800 number. You could call and punch in the part number that you found, and it would tell you where the part was located. Whether it was in Kansas or wherever, it would tell you the dealerships that had that part number available.
And so you just started ordering up all the correct stuff for the car.
Yep.
And it didn't happen overnight,
no.
But you brought it to this condition. Now, what kind of sheet metal did you have to replace, if any, on this car?
The deck lid had some rust.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was showing you earlier the photo album. She had rust around the rear windows,
mm-hmm.
but aside of the deck lid being replaced, it's all the original sheet metal on this car.
Wow.
Amazing.
The help that it was a California car,
right.
I think its whole life.
Right.
Well, anything old is going to have some oxidation on it, but you got fortunate with that. But you didn't just do like a little bit of sheet metal work and spray bomb it.
No.
This car was completely apart.
Yep, you saw it.
I saw pictures. I mean, I saw the front grille surround. Everything
yep.
is just. You put a lot of hours into this car, didn't you?
I did.
And it was worth every one of them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said in my text, it's my favorite car on the planet. But funny thing is, I took it to this particular painter because he was specialized in lacquer, which is what I wanted put back on the car.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked me out of it. He says, lacquer is going away. This was 1994 when I got the car painted. And I said, Mike, I wanted it in lacquer. He says, I'm telling you, Kevin, the best thing you can do is go with one-stage urethane. I said, are you sure? He says, I can make it look just like lacquer. I said, and he says, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, so that's what's on it. Deltron one stage.
Jeez, man. Now, what's really cool about this car, what made these so unusual when they were new? It was the first car most people had ever seen with an airfoil on the trunk. It was 5 feet wide.
Yep.
It had the Judge sticker on it, which was in psychedelic lettering. The first 2000 made were carousel red, which is really bright orange.
Yep.
I mean, they had stripes on the side. But these cars were really a popular car. They sold over 6,000 of them that first year, didn't they?
That's right, they did.
How many Judges did they sell in '69?
6,724.
Wow, and only I think 200 something were convertibles, right?
108.
108. So stump muscle car can't be again. But obviously, to sell 7,000 of anything when you had so much competition,
yep,
really meant that this car was a home run in the marketplace.
It's just so outlandish,
Eh.
and that's why I love it. It's just outlandish.
And they're more popular now than ever before. People have gotten over the shock of the airfoil on the trunk and the orange paint. The overall design on this car was simply stunning. I mean,
I agree.
the second year of the new body style came out in '68, and it kind of, they tweaked it and I think really refined it, made it better. The side marker lights were different, but in '68 the tail lights were in the bumper. For '69 they moved them up. That not only gave the car a little sleeker look, but it also necessitated an entire new trunk lid, because the old one was straight across. This one, if you tried to put a '68 on a '69, the trunk lid would cover up the taillights. It just wouldn't work. It was also the first year for the lack of vent windows in the GTO. Up front, the changes included an entirely new grille, similar design, but had a horizontal bar going through it. The parking lights were different on the '68s. The marker lights kind of wrapped around the bumper a little bit, the front fascia. In '69 you got a separate parking light and a separate marker light. You could get cornering lamps on the '69s. This car does not have them. If you got the cornering lamps on a Judge, the decal got moved up a little bit higher in the fender.
Valance inserts were different. Plus, if you ordered the hideaway headlights, it came with these little mini grills. Non-hideaway headlight cars did not get those little plastic inserts. So that's always a big giveaway. When I bought the car, it did not have those in there. That was one of my acquisitions. What a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day to be in a Judge, let me tell you.
Want to listen to some AM radio?
Nah, I think we can live without the AM radio for now. But it does work.
It works.
Like everything else. Man.
It was an NOS AM radio when I put it in.
You didn't skimp on anything, even the stuff that you're probably not going to use, like an AM radio.
Right.
What, when you get in this car and you start driving it, what is it about it that turns you on so much?
That view over the hood.
The tack, the
Twin scoops, yep. It always turns me on. And that color. That is just crazy bright orange. Oh, I mean carousel red.
Hey, you did say hugger orange. Then I'd have to take the keys from you for a while.
Yep.
Send you back for re-education. Have you ever done any racing with this car since the restoration, or do you just kind of keep it...
I exercise it, let's put it that way.
Let's exercise. Let's see how much exercise it can do.
Maybe in a minute.
Oh, don't worry about him. That was a sheriff's officer that went by. For those who can't see because the camera's pointing towards Kevin.
Yeah, I used to beat the snot out of this thing when I first bought it. I left my rubber calling card most everywhere in Clearwater. This one's just outlandish because this car doesn't ask for your attention, it demands it. That's what I always tell people. That's what I always love about it.
Yeah, I mean the white T37 blends in with the brown. But with the 455 HO and the 4-speed, it's definitely a GTO of a different breed.
Well, the Ram Air 4 owners that waited months and months and months to order those and get them in, they were extremely disappointed when they got them because they didn't want to, they were cold-blooded. And being up in Michigan and stuff, they're just awful up there in the cold weather. So a lot of people, they traded them right back in if you got Ram Air 4.
Now, here's one. Now, I know you said this is your favorite car on the planet. Is the you also have a 71 T37 with a 455 HO.
I do.
Is that favorite car on the planet 1A?
It is. It is, and that's a really special car. This one's just outlandish. As we say in Jersey, the transmission's just like butter. Easy peasy, huh?
Yeah, that little bit of wandering on the road with the bias light. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you get used to it real quick, don't you?
Yep.
Now you know what to expect.
Well, I tell people my 65 Dodge, I don't so much drive it as I aim it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, nothing like a Muncie 4-speed. They just shift so beautifully. You know, now all we need is a 5-speed or a 6-speed.
Yeah.
But of course, then it's not 1969 in here anymore.
I have a few of my friends that did that to their GTOs just so they could cruise on the highway with them. How's she feel?
I want it. I want it, want it, want it. I mean, it just feels amazing. And like you said, the view over the hood-mounted tack.
Something, isn't it?
Ah,
$1 million view right there.
it really is.
People chide me for shooting so many hood tack shots and putting them on Facebook, and I go, you know, not a lot of people get to see that view.
That's right. What would it take to, seriously, would you sell this car at any price? If someone said, today I'll give you $400,000, would you take
I
it?
have an offer on the table already, actually, for 6 figures,
Uh-huh.
and I turned it down.